Welcome, and this is one of the talks that we are taking into the Silver Jubilee year of our reunion. With me is Amit Dixit. He's a senior managing director and co-head of the Asia acquisitions of India for Blackstone Private Equity, which he joined in 2007. And before that, he was a principal at Warburg Pincus. And there's a long list of companies that he serves as director, which I will not say right now because you need to go and check out his profile on his company. What is more important to us is Amit is our class of 95 IITB alum. He was a silver medalist in civil engineering. We won't hold that against him. And he's also an MS from Stanford and an MBA from Harvard Business School. And as I was just joking with him, he was a glutton for punishment. I think he liked to do all these degrees and he wanted to get into trouble every place. So he decided to go only to the best of all places. I think maybe that bug bit him when he was at IIT Bombay. So let's start with the first question to him. Amit, what has been your journey since graduating from IIT? And while I already rattled off the places you've been to, give us some insights into your thinking that went into how you went from one place to the other. What was your thinking behind going to each of these places? Was it blind luck or was it some thinking behind that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the IIT to Stanford, as you know, there was no thinking. You just apply.
Let me add that you were part of that IIT Bombay invasion to Stanford. There were like some 8 of you guys that were there, right, at the same time.
Yeah. So we had a big class, even from civil. It was me and Prashant Murthy stuff, 8-6, Moses Charikar, and I'm forgetting
Rohit Negi, and Dinkar, H2 guys, two H2 guys.
Dinkar, there, so. Dinkar, yes. So this was a big...
and then, of course, Kedar from H8. So
Kedar from H8, yeah. So it was quite a IIT Bombay, which was a good thing, actually, because we knew each other. So that was good camaraderie. I wasn't there for Stanford for very long because I finished my master's in 9 months. They allow you to do that. And I ended up, to your question on choices, either continue on a path for a PhD at Stanford. That was one option. And there was a Stanford startup called Trilogy Software, which I came across, which had moved from Palo Alto to Austin, Texas. And one thing led to another. I joined Trilogy. So I spent 3 years in Austin, Texas with them. But then I saw all this entrepreneurial bug. Trilogy, I was employee number 40. It went to like 3,000 people in 2 years, just craziness of late 90s enterprise software. I said I should do something on my own. So I actually came back to Mumbai and I started a company here called automartindia.com. Some of you may remember this. I was the founder and CEO of that company. The company is now called Mahindra First Choice. It was even back then funded by Mahindras, but now it's that's what the company is. But while I was doing that, I guess risk aversion prevailed. I ended up applying to business school and I got into HBS. And at that point in time, I had no idea about private equity. I did not even know what those two words meant. Second year in Boston, my apartment mate, who also is in Bombay now, he was from McKinsey, very knowledgeable, very savvy about all kinds of industries. So I get a call from Warburg Pincus, just a random call saying, we picked your resume and we are looking somebody in our technology, media, telecom practice in New York. And would you like to interview? So I said, let me come back to you. I go to my roommate. I said, somebody called Warburg Pincus called me for an interview. Well, who is Warburg Pincus? He's like, Warburg Pincus called you? I'm like, yeah, Warburg Pincus called me. He's like, who called you? What was the number? Can I interview with them? I said, sure, this is the number. You can interview with them. But you please tell me what this is. So then he educated me because he was very knowledgeable and he told me the whole private equity industry, how it works. So I ended up anyway joining Warburg Pincus, which I would say probably is, to your question, there was not that much thought. It was just something new and exciting. I had no real exposure to. And once I got into it, I really started enjoying it. I think I really like the industry. I really like the impact it makes. I really like the quantitative skills which IIT teaches you, plus the qualitative skills which are required, like the right balance. And now it's now I've been doing it. This is my 19th year. So now I know I'm like unemployable, almost anything else. So Warburg, and then I got married in 2003, and ironically, my wife is American, but I met her in Mumbai. So she has a PhD in South Asia from Duke, my wife. So I met her here, and then in 2006, Blackstone was opening up their office in Mumbai, and we had two daughters then, Gia and Zoe, who are both teenagers now. And so we said, okay, maybe this is the time to move back to India. And for me, moving back to India was always a question of when. It was never a question of if. Even for Automart India, for a short stint, I'd come back. So Blackstone seemed like a good platform. I came back, and one thing led to another, and the kids have grown up. My wife runs the Red Pen, so she runs this large company now. 70 people work for her, which advises students in India who want to study abroad. And Blackstone's business in India has gone from step to step. So we have become the largest private equity firm in India. Our value of our assets in India now is $50 billion. To put that in context, we are the number 9 business house in the country. So if you start from Reliance and Tata, you add all of that up. And the reason we are so large is because we have a large private equity business. We also have a large real estate business. We are the largest landlord in the country. So I'm currently sitting in Nariman Point. You can see probably right behind me. This is Express Towers, Nariman Point, right next to Oberoi, right next to the Air India building. We own this building. And similarly, we own 120 million square feet of office buildings in India, in Bangalore, in Pune, in Hyderabad, in Delhi. We own 20 million square feet of malls. We own multiple companies in private equity. So in Bangalore, we own in IT, we own Emphasis, we own IBS Software, TaskUs. And our model is we don't do passive small minority investments. We become owners of companies. So it's a different model. We don't do 5, 10, 15% stakes. So the companies, we either own 51% or 100%. So that's been our model. But anyway, long story short, that's been the journey. And for the last couple of years, Blackstone asked me to head the business, co-head the business across Asia. So I also oversee Japan and Australia in addition to India. And I made a decision that I love living in Mumbai. This is the city I've lived the most. My parents are nearby. So they're still in Kota. I have family here. My sister lives in Worli. So I had a debate last year, should I move to Singapore, which was a logical choice for tax reasons, flights, etc. But I'm a Mumbaiker. I love Amchi Mumbai, so I'm here.
Very good. You've pretty much answered my next question, which is about what motivates you to do what you're doing today. But I think the next question is more interesting is what are the interesting challenges that you face and how can you relate to those that you faced in the 4 years of IIT, in what we went through?
Yeah, that's a good question. Investing in India for anyone, and especially an American firm, is very difficult because India is still, and we learned it the hard way. We've been in India for 15 years. The first 5 years were very difficult. Our returns were suboptimal, and there was a huge debate internally what to do with India. But since 2011, which is almost a decade now, our returns have just been stellar. No IRRs north of 40%, just been jaw-dropping. Our chairman and CEO, Steve Schwarzman, has said in multiple public forums that India is the single best performing country for Blackstone globally. So it's been quite a transformation from the first 5 years to the last 10. And what was so difficult that we faced? What's really difficult is India is a very, even more so than almost any other places, very volatile, unpredictable place. You always get slapped by something, and especially when you're an owner. Being an owner of a company is not sexy, cool, exciting. It's the word you used early on. It's like masochism. You have to love pain because all problems which don't get solved come up, and you need an ability to solve those problems. So coming to the IIT question you have, I think IIT teaches you to just take a lot of slaps in life from wherever they come, or the kicks on your butt wherever they come. So I think that mental toughness and resilience, the randomness, I think that unstructured part, I think IIT teaches you well. which is very true about India investing. It's very very unpredictable, a lot more so than the developed market. Because for 5 years I was also doing the same job in New York, so a lot more structured, a lot more predictable. The other aspect is of the same unstructured aspect. Our job is never stable. So when there is a business we want to own or we want to sell, the intensity just spikes up. So it's not ever an 8 to 5 job. It can be 18 hours a day. It can be 0 hours a day. So it's a lot of just on a work pattern. There is no, if you like stability, this is not the right place to be. So there's a lots of ups and downs, which again, I think IIT teaches you really well, because it's your end sem, mid sem, all-nighters, push. At least my philosophy was, be in PAF, mood indigo, attend classes. When the end sem, mid sem comes, don't sleep. Just make it happen. I'm in a very similar place right now. When the deal intensity goes up, you just, as they say in NBA and American basketball, it's game time. The last dance. It's totally, you have to prepare for game time. So that's the second aspect, which is very challenging, about our job. The third aspect is, how do you prevent losses in investments, and how do you make actually profits? What is the science? There is no science. What is the art? There is no art. What is it? Because it's not black or white, right? That's IIT doesn't teach you. There is no answer to this, right? But at least what I have learned is pattern recognition. After a while, you just start recognizing patterns in businesses. Good businesses, bad businesses, good management teams, bad management teams. That pattern recognition is the ultimate skill. And yes, maybe you will not get 10 on 10 right, but improve your batting average. Maybe get 7 or 10 right, 8 or 10 right, minimize mistakes. And I think that's what something we have become good at. And I think I have become good at in pattern recognition, which also I owe to IIT, because we all know the exam which got us into IIT is nothing but, it's not an IQ test, it's a pattern recognition test. Or multiple exams you take at IIT, they're all pattern recognition tests. You just need to be disciplined, recognize the pattern, apply yourself, and you get the results. So I'm in a very similar place. You don't have to, we are not inventing a light bulb. There's nothing, no IP being created. It's all about pattern recognition. You take your investors' money, you find the right businesses, and you return the money with a reasonable amount of profit. So I think those things come to mind in terms of the challenges in my job today, and how I relate those back to learnings from IIT.
I think this is really good advice to a lot of the kids who are going to be watching this from IIT itself. So that said, and I think you mentioned PAF, which is fantastic. I think that was one place where we had to really put in the all-nighters while going to class at the same time, and I definitely remember that. So so what do you miss most about IIT, and what are you looking forward to in the reunion? I think we're all looking forward to a virtual reunion, but so what are you looking forward to?
Obviously meeting the ringmates, friends, batchmates, really looking forward to that. I've been lucky because I live in Mumbai. I actually have attended the reunions of other batches. For example, last year, the previous batch, I knew a lot of people there. So I attended the last batch's reunion. And it so happened, I think 3 years back, in 87, I'm from 87, the batches which are 4 or 5 years senior to us, so guys who are in their early 50s, in 87, that batch is super active. They do a reunion every year in a location, in Italy or in Europe or US, and people from all over the world get together. So it so happened, like 3 years back, I was in Tokyo for business, and they were having this reunion, and I'm on the chat group. So they invited me because I had a link. Amitabh Mitra, who's 1 year senior to me, 87 civil. So he called me, he says, come. I said, I don't know anybody. All these guys are, 5 years my senior. I've never even met them. Only person I know is you. They were like 15 of them. They're taking the Airbnb apartment. So I was very reluctant, very nervous. You never know these, you don't know these people. But I spent the weekend with them in Tokyo. And you know what I realized? I had never met these guys. I only knew one person out of 15, maybe two. But after the weekend, within like an hour or two, you felt so comfortable. People are just so relaxed, so easy to talk to. You get back into your IIT style, banter. So forget your own batchmates, the people you spend time with. I'm talking about people you don't even know. So I now try to make an effort, actually, even with batches who are senior to me. And if they invite me, if I can join them, and that's what I'm looking forward to in this reunion. And being in Bombay, I've been lucky because a lot of people do travel through Bombay or have lived in Bombay. For example, in our batch, Darshan Gandhi is in Bombay, Viral Acharya is in Bombay, Deepa is in Bombay, Sriram is in Bombay. So there are a few people uh, who are in Bombay, and that's why you keep in touch. And many more come through Bombay because their families are here. So it's a good place in any way to sort of keep in touch. But I think virtual part is a little suboptimal. In person would have been so much better. Also, last year, by the way, another thing which happens in these reunions, completely, I'm having lunch with all these guys from 8-7, all batches, my senior, great lunch, we're having a good time. Right behind me is the IT director, Subhashish Chaudhary. I've never met him before. I met him, then he called me later. I had a chat with him. One thing led to another. We ended up inviting Nandan Nilekani and Steve Schwarzman, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Blackstone, on March 5th to do a talk for IT students. I organized that whole thing. And so I went back to campus a few times, did that. So it was just fun, but it was a total coincidence. He happened to be at lunch. I'd never met him before. We started chatting. He said, he wants to get more corporate participation in more investor participation because IITians are not very educated about investing finance. So we have now started a finance contest at IIT now. It's a Blackstone contest. We give a case study just to expose IITians to something more than engineering, because tech and all comes very naturally to them. So we do an annual business plan contest. So we are trying to, so all these things sort of cross-pollinate when you meet people, you're there. So that's what I'm, looking forward to,
Absolutely fantastic. Great to hear this, Amit. I also look forward to catching up with you when I see you next in Mumbai. I come to Mumbai every once in a while, so we will definitely catch up. And I do know that we are supposed to have the physical reunion the year later, which is great because it'll be two batches getting together. And I'm sure we all know these guys who we quote unquote rag, right? So it'll be great to catch up with them too. So I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you. Thanks so much for this conversation. It was great talking to you.
Out and doing this chat, and looking forward to seeing you soon in Mumbai or Bangalore.